Did you hear about that shit? People were trying to call 911. Apparently, they didn't pay for that. Or the model of Magic Jack that they got didn't include 911.
Okay, Apple, the biggest whores on earth. Apple, you don't even need to plug a fucking SIM card into that phone. You know what you can call? 911. It's the only fucking number you can call. Because guess what?
Yeah, well,
that's a necessity.
Landlines are a little bit different.
Apparently.
Welcome to America. All right, what do we got there, Ron McLean?
So who's your favorite dictator? Mine's Stalin. I don't think there's any other dictator except Stalin.
I didn't think Stalin.
Who did you think?
Why have I actually haven't talk about it.
Okay, well, no, Stalin, because Stalin, despite the fact that everybody hated him and he just had a bunch of people killed literally for no reason, nobody ever tried to overthrow him ever. He had complete control because he terrorized and scared the shit out of everyone. And that's a real leader. That's real leadership.
Now, are we talking just totalitarianness, or can we choose like emperor or like pharaoh? Or...
Make a case for someone who's a tyrant if you want.
Man,
yeah.
if you think he dictated, throw him on the list.
Well, no, like a lot of the ancient guys got away with it because they were gods.
Oh, sure, like the King Tuts,
but like yeah, like the King Tuts and the Ramses and the.
I was thinking more like 20th century guys in like suits.
Oh, okay.
Dictators.
Pol Pot's a good guy.
Yeah.
Pol Pot's great. Let's get rid of the intellectuals in the country.
Year zero, bitches.
Also, there's that Idi Amin was pretty good.
Idi Amin.
Oh god, that guy's a laugh.
Fucking balls crazy.
Yeah, those African guys can get pretty messed up.
Yeah. Oh, they're fucked.
Yeah. Who else we got? Well, there's the king himself, the rock star over there in Deutschland.
Oh,
which is probably everybody's. That's the sexy pick.
Adolf J. Hitler.
Yeah.
See, I want to pick Hitler. Hitler was. I feel like he was a real George W. type. Like he had complete control. But I think for a while, at least, some guys were pulling some strings. They were like, "Hey, Hitler, check out our plans." Yeah, that's good.
Well, he's also the obvious choice. He's the Sidney Crosby of dictators.
Absolutely,
exactly.
The ladies love him.
Yeah. So if you deep dive, we got that Mao guy.
What do you think, James?
Well, yeah. Well, I was gonna. These are all just incredible choices, but there's still one currently happening, and that's the North Korean regime.
Yeah. Well, you could pick his dad if you'd like.
Yeah, Kim Jong Il was. I mean, that was like Kim Jong Un.
Who's the craziest Kim?
Kim Il, the craziest?
So the dad,
the
first one.
This guy.
1, 2, or 3.
I think the first one was the craziest. I think the
two.
I would pick 2.
Sorry,
too,
James. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Number 1, like the first Kim was the craziest.
Kim Il Sung.
He made it. He is the first statue. He made this crazy fucked up shit.
Do you know North Korea was founded the same year that 1984 was published? And there's a lot of eerie similarities between 1984 and North Korea.
Yeah.
Like that every house has like a loudspeaker that you can't turn off.
Pictures.
Yeah. I think he read 1984 and said, "I can make that."
I don't think he could read.
Well, it's weird. Stephen Harper had pictures of himself all over Parliament.
Oh, here we go.
That's what Stalin.
Oh God!
I finger banged his daughter once.
And he did.
Well, here's the next half hour.
No, but here's why I think his pick is the ultimate pick. Because Papa Joseph there, Papa Stalin,
Uncle Joe,
he created it. He's the guy who put Kim 1 in. He's the guy who's like, "Hey, Kim 1, have a fucking country."
Yep.
Who did this?
Stalin
installed. Stalin gave.
He installed.
He gave
Kim Il Sung in power in
after
North
MASH, after Hawkeye, and everybody went home.
Well, Jesus H. Christ.
After Hawkeye.
That's a pile of shit.
I believe it was before.
After 11 years.
Well, no,
actually
because
before.
Yeah, because they had a peaceful settlement, and then Kim Il Sung decided to attack the South, and that started the war.
No, Stalin definitely.
Yeah,
is.
it was before, but he didn't
Stalin,
really get to do what he wanted after Hawkeye left.
Stalin fucking wins, man. He created that. That's insane. Hitler is awful.
What about
but Stalin did his own thing worse than Hitler and created that.
Hitler is Crosby. Stalin is Ovechkin.
Stalin's Gretzky.
Stalin's every.
So does that make Mussolini Malkin?
Oh God, no! Mussolini is like Roman Polak.
Mussolini was such a
Roman Polak.
That guy was
showing up.
No,
Mussolini was such a fucking failure. He killed a lot of people, but he ended up just shitting the bed badly.
Absolutely. He wrote letters about how much of a failure he was. He was cognitive of how much of a failure he was.
Got a lot of pussy, though.
Really depressed about how
Let's
much
go to
of a
Africa.
failure he
Nope.
was.
Let's go do something. Nope.
Let's go to Greece.
You got
Nope.
beat by the Greeks.
Yeah, seriously.
The only other
Fucking
person
Xerxes,
to get
man.
beaten by the Greeks are the Greeks themselves.
Yeah.
And Xerxes.
Yeah. Wow.
And Xerxes. Shout out to the Persians.
I like my man, leader of Cuba, Fidel Castro.
Oh, that's a good
Fidel. Oh, Fidel.
Because Fidel basically he rode in on a white horse, and the white horse had no blood on it because everybody else put the blood. He rode in after the fact and was like, this is glorious Cuba now. Yeah, woo, we did such a good job, guys. And everyone was like, yeah, I totally remember someone said that you were at the battle and you did some work. I have a cousin who thought he saw you one time.
We're forgetting a lot of those South American guys, like before our lifetimes in like the 60s, 70s, and 80s, where they would replace one guy that was bad
With a
but like
with a other guy
bad
that was worse.
but good for America.
Yeah,
Oh,
Pinochet.
Pinochet.
Yeah, that's the first
Number one.
America good. And it's like, oh well, and so he's raping and killing more than the last guy, right? Well, but he likes us.
But he's raping and killing for me.
yeah.
Yeah.
What about Gaddafi? We honorable mention Muammar Gaddafi.
Gaddafi.
That guy's got to be one of the craziest.
Good old Saddam too.
Saddam. Oh, and his kids too. The whole family's involved. It's a family business.
Oh my god.
My favorite part of Saddam was he was the first one in our lifetime that like was kind of like the redemption of like if we ever saw Hitler get shot. Like you remember like the lead up,
Yeah.
and like being a kid and knowing that this was the
got his ass
baddest
pumped.
man on earth. Like if tomorrow we watched Kim Jong Un get hung, it would or hanged. I guess it would be the best. But
Yep.
that was the first where it's like, oh, this is the bad guy. We got him. He's dead now.
And he got a trial, not like Gaddafi, who got beaten to death.
Exactly. No. You can go on YouTube probably and find the hanging. You could watch it right now if you wanted to.
Well, he got the Mussolini. Gaddafi got the
Yeah.
Mussolini treatment,
Yeah.
So-
where they were kicking his
Beat
head
him to
around
death,
with
then
a.
shoved it up his ass. No, before they killed him.
They kicked Mussolini's head around Rome like a soccer ball.
Nobody really talked about Mao, though. Probably the bloodiest one.
Love Mao.
Yeah,
Oh, I
had
know,
the
he's
most
great.
casualties when we did the top 10
Maybe
there.
killed
that one
80
time.
million, yeah.
My favorite Mao story is got to be the Great Leap Forward. Guy
The 5-year plan.
5-year plan. Great Leap Forward. Guy says to he has an entirely agricultural country. He says that country, you know what, to be a world power. Guys, we got to have an industry. We got to make steel. We got to turn that steel into cars. We got to turn that steel into tanks. We got to turn that steel into planes. We got to turn that steel into things that steel makes. Country's like, okay, tell us how, great leader. And he's like, okay, we're a communist country. We share everything. I'm gonna send everybody a kit. I'm gonna send everything you need to make a kiln in the back of your farm. You just set it up and you make some fucking steel, and then you send the steel to me, and we boom, we got ourselves a steel economy. And they're all like, yes, glorious leader. And they set up the kiln and they bake some steel, and they bake the most worthless off-brand fucking aluminum that's good for nothing. And they send this aluminum away, and the government basically throws it all away because it's useless steel. And guess what it does? It poisons their entire farm, making steel, useless steel, garbage steel in the back of their farm, and it kills every fucking crop. And
Well, that's
guess
surprising because I'm sure they did a bunch of research before they sent all these kilns. The Mao government seemed like they were really up on their scientific, precedents.
yeah,
So that story really surprises me.
20 million people starved to death.
Oh yeah, no, like that's a regime that had it together.
The best was the Cultural Revolution when Mao
Yep.
got bored, and so he decided to just encourage all the young people to just kill all the old people.
Yep.
That was great. That was really interesting. Hey, just drag your teachers into the street and beat them to death.
Because they're old.
Even
Old
though Mao
news.
himself was old at that point.
Wow.
My question is, who the fuck follows somebody? What the hell?
really
yeah,
hungry
everybody.
and poor people that have no other choice.
If I was hungry and poor, I'd fucking kill
Same
people.
people
not
who like
follow
Kevin
them.
Hart movies, James.
I would kill them, not follow. Like, yeah.
No,
thanks.
they would kill you.
You want to know what my other favorite Mao story is? When all the Soviet leaders and all the great communist leaders got together and they held a conference, and Nikita Khrushchev, who was the absolute seat of communism, he was the top dog. He was the biggest dick in communism. He got the who's who. He got the NBA All-Star Game of communism together in one room, and he said to them, he's like, guys, let's talk about how fucked Stalin was. Stalin was a dick, and I want to hash it out. We're going to have a therapeutic conversation about it. It's going to be cathartic. We're going to have a good time.
Sort of like a PR
Yeah.
move for Russia.
Under the books, nobody knew about it. He just wanted to hash it out. Be like, okay, we can't be like Stalin, guys. That guy was over the top. And everybody, all the other communist leaders were like, yeah, man, that was pretty fucked up. We weren't going to say anything, but that was kind of fucked.
Yeah.
And they all had a great conversation, except Mao. Mao was like,
Stalin's a pretty good guy.
what are you saying? Stalin was my boy.
Yeah, they were boys.
And he took his fucking things and he went home, and it created a divide between the two countries worse than the Cold War. Those guys hated each other worse than they hated America.
Still not warm today.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Fraser Crane.
But I don't know what to do with those salads and
Scrambled eggs.
I'm the only one that didn't watch that show in the 90s.
Call it again.
Yeah.
Good
Good night, Seattle.
We love that show, man.
So that would have been NBC, right?
I don't want to talk about. I'm not going to try to compare it to
NBC had
Cheers.
Frasier,
Big time, yeah.
Frasier was a great
See, I don't
sitcom.
think my family watched NBC in the 90s. So we were big ABC fans.
Frasier was-
TGIF. So you had Family Matters, and you had
See, I watched
Home
no-
Improvement.
I hated Home Improvement.
Oh,
Man, no, that was
Tim Taylor, the Tool, fucking.
yeah,
Tim the Tool Man Taylor.
Not my speed, man. I was more of a Frasier guy.
I grew up in a Frasier and Home Improvement family.
I was a Seinfeld. We were a Seinfeld family.
Boo.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
like
NBC.
I'm sorry, I've never been a big Seinfeld
Are you
fan.
fucking kidding me?
Never been a big Seinfeld
You know
fan.
what? My
Ingrate.
no one ever watched that in my house.
we didn't
I
watch
came
it
upon
either.
that myself. I decided to just watch it, and I'm like, it's fucking hilarious.
At
I
least-
get it. I get why people like Seinfeld. Never got it.
At least none of us grew up in a friend's house.
Oh, dude, there's nothing to get. You just
Once again, NBC.
George is a psycho, and then there you go. I don't know.
Well, Fresh Prince was NBC, and we watched that. So that was basically all we watched on NBC, I guess.
Watched a lot
Big
of
Fresh
Prince
Prince
growing
fam.
up.
Yeah, we were a Fresh Prince family too. What was CBS doing back then?
I don't know, man. I couldn't
Sucking
tell you which
showed
channel
like
was
they are
which,
now.
you know?
Well, they got lucky in like the late, like Charlie Sheen made them a bunch of money, so they became like the sitcom spot because they had. Because now they got Big Bang Theory.
My favorite. Let's talk about modern sitcoms for a second.
Yep.
Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Probably the best sitcom I think I've ever seen in my life.
I have every season on DVD,
Yeah,
and
one of
I
my
don't do
favorites,
that.
for sure.
It's incredible. What's your favorite Always Sunny episode?
Mine's the one where they give Frank the intervention.
The
me
Intervention. It's probably one of the best episodes.
It's
ever.
just like the prime spot in Philly where like season 5 I think is when
4.
No, that's season 5.
that's season
Oh,
5.
is it?
Yeah.
4 is my favorite season. I've actually, you and I went through this recently.
Yeah.
4 is my
5 is my favorite season.
Yeah.
You're 33 years old, Gail. You're supposed to be sexually
Sexually
active. You're not supposed to be fondling your uncle under a
the
table. You're just mashing it now.
Yeah. There's so many brilliant episodes, you know? I think my favorites have to be... I have to pick from 3 at least, off the top of my head. You know, The Gang Hits the Road was the first one I saw.
Yeah,
That's
me
probably
too.
my favorite episode.
That's 4, right?
I've
That's
seen
season
it.
5.
I've seen it so
No,
many...
that's 5 too, exactly.
Season
4.
5.
It's 4.
Gang Hits the Road is 4?
I'm going to tell you it's
pretty-
4. We
pretty
looked this
sure-
up.
You're wrong.
We looked this up the other day.
I'm pretty sure it's episode 2 of season 5, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Really?
That's why 5 is just such a and then the gas crisis
Oh my
when
god.
they're so wild card bitches.
Fucking... Yeah, no, I fixed the brakes. That's fine.
Or the one where they poison all those kids at the frat house because the rivalry, and Dennis and Frank are on
You're
pills.
right. Gang Hits the Road is 5. I will tell you why 4 is my favorite season.
Go for it.
I'm going to list you the episodes here. Mac and Dennis Manhunters, first episode I ever saw, where they hunt cricket. And the human meat.
Mm-hmm.
We got the sickness now, D. The gang solves the gas crisis, episode 2. America's Next Top Patty's Billboard Model Contest.
Oh, so the gas crisis is season 4.
Season 4.
Yeah.
Max Bang and the Waitress, season 4. That's an okay episode. 5 and 6, respectively, are Mac and Charlie Die Part 1 and 2. I think I've never laughed harder in my life than when he drives the car into the wall.
No, we
and
had
Charlie's
to,
like,
yeah. I had to pause it. We had to pause.
I know. I had to pause it. I had to leave. I had to leave the room. I was laughing so hard.
I don't think there's a bad episode of this show.
Patty's
yeah,
Pub,
there
Worst
is.
Bar in Philadelphia. That's okay.
Lately, they've been getting pretty bad.
Dennis Reynolds, An Erotic Life with Sinbad.
Sinbad and Rob Thomas.
Gang cracks the Liberty Bells in that season too. Which
The
is a great
dentist
episode.
system's pretty good too.
The Extreme Home Makeover edition
Yeah.
is
Oh, dude, that one's awesome.
And season finale is The Nightman Cometh.
Yeah.
That's why that's my favorite season.
But I was going to mention the other two of my favorites, just in the group of 3. You already mentioned one of them. Gang gives Frank an intervention. Holy shit!
Probably the best episode.
Just wine in a can, gargling
wine
in the
can-
street.
By the end of it, everybody's drinking
you're
from
gonna
it.
want to attack him because he's gonna bring the gun.
Yeah.
We should all have
you
guns.
should
It's
you
just
should
safer.
almost have a gun too.
It's
Would you
safer.
like to- it's safer.
Bring a gun.
Bring a gun.
Sorry, what's the third one, James?
The last one was from season 7. I loved season 7. It might have been one of my maybe my favorite season. I don't know, but Sweet D gets audited.
Oh God, yeah, with the baby.
With the dead dog and getting sprayed in the eyes with fucking just like hot powder. Like
Oh yeah, that's got the Gang Goes to Jersey Shore in it too.
The Thunder Gun Express
got
one.
that's got Frank Reynolds' Little Beauties in it
yeah.
too.
and the first episode was so fucking good. Frank's Pretty Woman, you know, and then
Yeah, Frank's Pretty Woman.
they get the prostitute dead in the hallway. They're just playing the Roy Orbison in the background.
Chardee MacDennis is in that.
Oh man, yeah, solid season.
Is that the one with Thunder Gun? That's a good one.
Thunder Gun
When-
Express,
When they're in
yeah.
the sewers. It's
Thunder Gun. That one's so good. Yeah.
one of my favorite episodes.
All the sports ones are good too. The one where they're trying to get into the Phillies game.
The World Series
The
defense.
World Series, yeah, defense, yeah, absolutely, and the trying out for the Eagles, the Invincible one.
Oh
Yeah.
God,
The gang
yeah, when
gets
they're on
invincible?
acid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I gotta tell you, that's basically the only thing going right for Philadelphia right now.
This is this show.
Oh hell yeah.
Absolutely, because nobody's going to Phillies games. Nobody's going. to
We should
Eagles
probably
games.
stop talking about this, or Kevin Hart will probably want on our podcast.
I don't care. Oh my!
Yeah, he'll show up.
What
and
about me?
What about me?
I'm from Philadelphia.
Pay attention to me.
Dude, that guy's from Philadelphia.
Yes.
Whoa.
I don't mind. See, here's my thing. I give Kevin Hart a bad. I talk about how I don't. He's okay, but really, the whole thing about the All-Star Weekend drove me nuts.
That's for the Americans.
He needed to be the center of attention so often. It's like it upset him that the basketball was the center of
Yeah,
attention.
big time.
First case study, Exhibit A, was
Celebrity game.
celebrity game. Well, he's the coach. That's important.
They allowed that. That's been his thing for the last 5 years.
Gets involved in the game. Can't let it stay. Drake didn't get involved in the game. Jose Bautista
Not
didn't get involved.
enough.
In the game. Yeah, I know, but like, I get that. That's kind of cool. That would be funny. I was willing to let that go. Then the next day, I understand. He called. Who did he call out? Who did he do the dunk? The 3-point?
Draymond Green.
Draymond Green. I understand that he called Draymond Green out, but still, it does seem like yesterday was your day, Kevin, and then all of a sudden he's hit the stage.
But again, it's All-Star Saturday night, and everything
Exactly.
goes.
I know, and that's the thing. I know it's all in good fun, but it just seemed like he couldn't give up the spotlight. You know,
He's the guy right now, and Americans love him. Americans.
I don't get why people love him. That's another sign that people are stupid. The public are fucking retards.
he's okay.
All of them.
He's okay at best as a comedian.
Well, he's just like this time period's best black comic, and it puts it to shame because this is what's happened to famous black comics. It's like when we were growing up, it was Dave Chappelle, and then before that, it was Chris Rock, and then it was Eddie Murphy, and then it was Richard Pryor, and so on and so
You're
on.
forgetting one guy, but yeah,
Who are we forgetting?
Cosby. But that's okay. Go on.
Is he a great comic?
Yes, but anyway.
Well, he was, yeah. Well, he is, but
I've
yeah.
got his albums. I've got his old albums. They're
Anyway, So,
But
case-
yeah, and
case
just now
study-
it just
and then-
happens to be Kevin Hart, and that just goes to show the quality of this generation's entertainment.
He's a black Dane Cook. People think it's funny to just scream things.
right?
Exactly. I do share the same problem with Kevin Hart that I did with Dane Cook. Yeah, it's just he shouts things, and people go, "Oh, that's true. That happens to me." So he's relatable, but he just yells.
Here's my most damning case study on the whole All-Star Weekend thing was, okay, number one with the celebrity game. That's his day. Number two with the call out. He did call this guy out, and it was fun watching a basketball player do a 3-point shot with Kevin Hart.
Well, the whole thing was staged. It was staged like the ping pong game
Sure.
between Reggie Miller and Drake. But go on.
Sure. The most damning thing was Shaq leaves to go do the to go judge the dunk competition, and all of a sudden Kevin Hart fucking leaves his seat, comes and joins.
That was planned.
That was planned.
Of course it was.
And then he shits over everyone the whole time. Every move that someone makes, he's like, I wouldn't have done that. I don't know, that wasn't so good. He was the most negative judge or the most negative announcer on that panel too. Like he had nothing but shit to say about everybody's dunks.
Oh, that's Kenny Smith's gig. No, that's the gig. That's the gig. He's just an extra character.
I guess so. I just feel like I felt like I saw too much of Kevin Hart over All-Star Weekend.
Sasha, to be honest, that was the part of the night that wasn't for you. You know what was for you? Walk the Moon. Did you enjoy Walk the Moon?
Not a fucking second of it.
Because that was for the white people.
Why?
Did you enjoy?
Sting
And then
was for the white
and-
people.
Hey, everybody else gets Kevin Hart. We're stuck with Sting and Walk the Moon.
No, you know what? Everybody else gets basketball.
Who's everybody else?
Not
Black
white people.
People of another race, James.
Hispanics, and basically the American fans that constitute a bunch of the NBA fans.
So let me ask you something here. What do we do about the dire lack of black comedians?
We just wait until there's a good one.
Well, I personally can't do anything about it. But yeah, no, honestly, it's sad that there can only be one. Because look how many different we have a white comic for every situation. Like there was a time when Will Ferrell could coexist with Michael Cera. It's two different complete comics at the top of their game, but there can only be one good black comic. Obviously, there's an argument to that because you could say there are multiple.
We're talking, but stand up.
Yeah, me too. Stand up. Well, there's tons of stand up.
No, but like at the top, who's the black guy in stand up right now?
Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart, exactly. Who's the second black guy in stand up? Think about it for longer than 5 seconds, but that's the point.
Reggie
You
Watts?
You can name someone.
But stand up's like that too. Who's the white guy in stand up?
Louis C.K.
Louis C.K. Yeah.
Who's the second?
Who's the second white guy in stand up? I'd say. Now you're
Exactly.
shutting-
There's always with
but-
stand up. There's
no.
always like the guy to watch.
Yeah, but there is more top shelf white guys in stand up right now than there are. But like you're saying, there's always like a top shelf. This is the black comedian right now.
But maybe, I mean, James was talking about it with music. Maybe it's the fact that there's comedy, and then there's black comedy. It's like black comedy is on the side, and it's
a genre.
It's a genre, and there's one person that dominates it at all times, whereas the rest is up for grabs, and that just happens to be white people. You can put, there's Hispanic comics, there's female comics. That's just
We don't pay
comedy.
attention to those though.
There's been a couple good ones.
Yeah.
So what type of jokes define black comedy then?
The black experience.
I guess, yeah. I mean,
It's like black music. It's like black fashion. It's like black. It's black culture.
yeah, like Richard Pryor, shouting out, something about prejudice,
But there's a different. Richard Pryor was more widespread because he did more comedy, whereas there's black comedy. There's a difference between a black comic making it to mainstream comedy than there is a guy getting famous off of black comedy. See, I think the problem here is Kevin Hart hasn't fully broken in to the mainstream audience. He's made movies and they're all crap, but they're actually also black comedy films. Ride Along is not for us.
Oh, but
I think
white
it
people
is.
love anything with Ice Cube in it. White people will
Fair
pay
enough.
For.
So Ice Cube's brought into, but what Ice Cube's done is different than what Kevin Hart's done. That's all I'm saying.
I think white people like Kevin Hart. I think me and Robbie are outliers here. I think Kevin Hart's doing great because Kevin Hart's doing great. Black comedy, white comedy he's doing great.
There are white people that like Kevin Hart, but not as many white people that like Chris Rock. And I don't think anybody in this room can argue that Chris Rock isn't great. We all like Chris Rock because he went that extra mile and got into mainstream, whereas Kevin Hart's still wrestling in the realm. And so his movies translate into that kind of thing too, still. Because his movies aren't as mainstream.
I mean,
He tries to.
shouldn't we all graduate eventually to just comedy?
Yeah.
Well, no, but because it's a different genre, though.
No, I think yeah, I agree.
But genre, though, yeah. Sorry. Yeah,
I feel like black comedy is always going to be a thing, and the thing is, black comedy is you can be a white person and not know anything about what it's like to be black, but at the risk of sounding alien in here, black people are funny, and black comics are funny, and they say the jokes that they make, despite the fact that we can't relate in any way, we soak them up. It's a very, very transferable genre, and we love it. We gobble it up. Like, that's why people like Chris Rock. That's why people like Dave Chappelle. Very, very, very distinctly black comedians telling black jokes, because we love it, because it's still fucking hilarious.
But Sasha, wouldn't you say there's a difference between Dave Chappelle when he was doing like his Killing 'Em Softlies and that compared to, I mean, everybody likes Chappelle Show, and you could say the same thing about, there's a threshold where that one thing you do takes you to that next level.
Sure.
And I don't think Kevin Hart has done that yet. He hasn't made a movie that bridges the gap. Ride Along and Ride Along 2 probably make a lot of money. But the wedding ringer was supposed to be his breakout thing. Like he hasn't hit that threshold that Chappelle and Rock and Murphy did.
Yeah. Or what's the fucking movie with Get Hard with Will Smith?
Terrible
trying to
movie.
break through to white
Will Ferrell?
trying to break the barrier. No, I do agree with you. Absolutely.
I don't really agree with like the fact that the black genre is totally as prevalent as we think it is. I mean, I'm sure it does exist, but it goes along with every single argument of genre. Does the genre does jazz really exist? Does hip hop really exist? Does an action film really exist? A genre, it's like saying every one of these films is one film, or any one of these comedians is one type of comedian, and they're really not. They are separate, but there is still ultimately a realm of similarity. Definitely, so that's probably what we are calling black comedy. But I don't think we're any of us sure of what that is. Sorry,
as a black or white pun intended, binary distinction, no. But like, I don't know, by looking at a crowd, you can tell whether or not you can get away with Drake jokes or whether it's just going to go over their head. You know what I mean? And if it's crowds all white people, like Andre tried stand up a couple weeks ago for the first time, and he was like, I just had too many black people jokes. There weren't enough black people there.
What were some of his black people jokes?
I think he was just like, just stuff about being a black guy that only black guys like. But there's a way to get that across to a white audience, I think.
Sure.
But like,
I guess, yeah, no.
there is a part of it that's maybe every comedians have different kind of like niches,
I think it comes down to that.
You have a different hit, like you work with this kind of people.
Black comedy comes down to being black. If you are black, then you do black. If you're
Well,
white, you do white.
It
Mm-hmm.
can almost be nationality. There's such a thing as Canadian comedy, but look at British comedy. Like the Monty Pythons.
yeah,
Like it is a
of
genre.
course.
Genres do exist where you look at that and you go, that's what they're going for. It's like dark comedy. It's meta humor. Comedies can be dissected by the type of jokes, satire or anything like that. So British comedy where you go, like I particularly don't like British comedy, but I happen to really like black comedy. I can probably get away with watching Meet the Browns a lot longer than most other white people. I would still turn it off because I think it's really offensive. But but there's movies that don't make it, like the Think Like a Man that
Yeah.
Steve Harvey did.
Yep.
I like that movie because I like black comedy. Most people watch that and it's an all black cast, and it's just something that it's a genre that I like. And whereas you watch a lot of the those guys that make like Shaun of the Dead and stuff, Simon Pegg, and guys like that. That's that British comedy where it's kind of not my thing.
It's not your thing. That's
Exactly.
fine.
So that's what genre. And people are more than welcome to like certain things, but it is cookie cutter like that, James. And unfortunately, that's where music you can kind of fuse things. Movies and stuff like that, they're really particular because if you stray away, you can lose the audience that you're trying to get. Whereas with music is if you feel something, go ahead and enjoy it. Whereas movies, it's we're trying to get to you.
Yeah, no, that's actually a valid point.
To sort of bridge that point too, I think genre comes from is a human need to classify stuff. We're overtly neat people, and classifications of genres, it's something that we want to do. But again, like Brent is saying, at the end of the day, you have a tendency. It's flavor. It's flavor.
Yeah.
You like Captain Crunch and you don't like Cinnamon Toast Crunch. And genre helps you. It helps you find things that you like. If you don't have genre, if everything's just one big melting pot, you're gonna chew through a lot more shit movies where you might fucking that movie blew your mind, but to Brent he's like I didn't like that.
I just think it just ends up disappointing everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing. If you don't have genre helps us narrow down our tastes and find things that we like in our entertainment, be it music, be it film, be it comedians. It helps. Classification helps us figure out the direction we want to go. And especially nowadays with the amount of media, again, be it music or movies or whatever, or porn, the amount of media that we have.
Shifty eyes.
Yeah. The amount of media that we have at our fingertips, having some sort of classification system, I get it. I get that art is a melting pot, but if you classify art, be that at the behest of the artist sometimes, it makes it easier for people to figure out what they're looking for and find it.
Precisely, and doing something new and, getting into something new it's a different mode of thought than doing something that was previously kind of, there's a way of doing that. This is kind of a general understanding of this concept. But doing something experimental, avant-garde music, experimental, even in music, there's the same kind of thing. Like generally, yeah, it's a little more open.
Music can be taken as long as it sounds good. It doesn't matter the origin. Whereas I think movies are written on a template, whether it be a genre or a subgenre. I mean, like all dramas are kind of this. You can't really say they're all the same, but as soon as you start watching a movie, you know it's going to be a drama or it's going to be a thriller, or it's going to be a comedy.
Right.
I guess the same as with music, it's going to be a ballad, or it's going to be a party song, or it's just by the tone. And I guess that's sort of the same thing. But when you delve deeper with movies, you can't open up the boundaries like you can with song.
Yeah, because it seems like in songs there are genres, but then there are also types of that genre. Whereas in movies, it seems like there are genres. And
You can't make a movie that's like 3 genres, because people are going to go, this
There's no
character.
tone.
Yeah, there's no tone, and it's like a Nelly Furtado Canadian anthem.
So to have a movie then that makes you think, and it makes you think with these variables of extrapolating concepts like that, like music always does, then you just get a different product, So having a genre-specific movie, having something that can address that field of thought, you get a different product.
James, these movies exist, and some, and I want to make this clear, some people have watched them. I've watched movies that I believe were on a totally different plane, and I was like, wow, what the fuck did I just watch? That was really genre bending. That really blew my mind. Do you know how many people watched that movie? Critics. And a few stone guys. And I think that's still an art form. I think people should continue to do that till the end of the time, and they will. However,
It's just not as popular.
the idea of entertainment is that a lot of people and a lot of really talented people are going to entertain to the masses. That may be what they want to do, that may be not what they want to do. However, they're going to cater to genres, and they're going to cut genre films.
Yeah, you want to pay your rent? Put the dicks in your mouth.
Put the dicks in your mouth.